All right, so you're prepping for some AWS Solutions Architect interviews.
Yeah,
Smart move.
definitely.
That's a hot field these days.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we've got this Indeed.com guide. It's all about those AWS interview questions,
Mm.
and we're going to kind of break it down
Cool.
and give you an edge.
Nice.
So think of this as like your secret weapon, all right?
Love it.
So what I like about this article
Yeah.
is that it doesn't just give you a list of questions, right?
Mm.
It dives into some like practical example answers.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you can actually use.
Like really useful stuff. Yeah.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Okay, so let's jump right into it
Yeah.
with security best practices
Right.
for Amazon EC2.
Okay.
And they mentioned disabling password-based logins.
Yeah.
So is that really like the gold standard these days?
It's definitely a good starting point.
Okay.
Think about it, right? You're removing password logins,
Mm-hmm.
shrinking your attack surface.
Yeah.
Significantly, right?
Yeah.
But to really lock things down tight,
Okay.
you want to explore SSH keys
Okay.
and IAM roles too.
Okay, so those...
They offer more granular control and security.
So it's about layering those security measures.
Yeah, definitely.
What are the trade-offs, though, between, like, is one easier to manage than the other?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah.
So SSH keys,
Mm-hmm.
super secure,
Yeah.
but managing them at scale
Right.
can get a little tricky.
Yeah, I can see that.
But IAM roles,
Okay.
more flexible, right?
Yeah.
Integrate well with AWS services.
Okay.
But they require like a solid understanding of IAM principles.
Oh, so there's like a learning curve there.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so it depends on like the use case, the security policies.
Right, depends on the situation.
Exactly. All right, let's shift gears a bit
Okay.
and talk about buffers.
Cool.
I'll admit, this kind of surprised me.
Great.
I thought buffers were just for like streaming movies without lag.
Oh, no.
Yeah, like,
Buffers are way more important in AWS.
oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We're all about absorbing those traffic spikes
Okay.
and ensuring like smooth application performance.
Okay, so paint me a picture.
Sure.
Like, how does a buffer actually prevent things from crashing
Okay.
when, say, like, a website gets slammed with traffic?
So imagine a sudden surge of users hitting your site,
Okay.
right? Without a buffer, your
Mhm.
servers, they could get overwhelmed,
Yeah,
leading to slow response times
makes sense.
or even downtime.
Right. Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah.
So a buffer acts like a shock absorber, right?
Okay.
It's temporarily holding that excess traffic
Mm-hmm.
and then releasing it gradually.
So it's like a queue,
Yeah, exactly.
like for the data, just making sure everything gets processed in order.
Yeah,
Does that tie into like buffering strategies, back pressure, or throttling?
exactly. So
Right.
those are techniques that you can use
Yeah.
to manage the flow of data through the buffer.
Gotcha.
So back pressure, it signals the sender
Yeah.
to slow down, right?
Right.
When the buffer is full
Right.
and throttling
Mm-hmm.
limits the rate at which data is processed.
Got it.
So they're all about maintaining system stability
Mm-hmm.
under pressure.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So choosing the right buffering strategy, it really comes down to how your application handles those traffic surges.
Right, exactly.
This is way more nuanced than I thought.
It definitely is.
Big
It's
time.
about finding that sweet spot
Yeah.
between like responsiveness and resource utilization.
Okay, speaking of resources,
Yeah.
let's talk about the workhorses
Oh, yeah.
of your AWS infrastructure.
All right.
instances.
Instances, yeah.
So the article dives into all those different instance types.
There's a lot.
Yeah, there's general purpose, compute optimized, memory optimized, all that.
And storage optimized.
Yeah, it's a lot to keep straight.
It is.
Yeah.
Think of it this way, right?
Okay.
You wouldn't use a sports car to haul cargo.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So each instance type is designed for a specific workload.
Okay.
General purpose is like your reliable daily driver.
Okay. All right.
Compute optimized, that's for heavy lifting.
Makes sense.
Memory optimized excels with large data sets.
Okay.
And then you've got storage optimized, right?
Mm-hmm.
For those data intensive applications.
So choosing the right instance type is crucial for both performance and cost effectiveness.
Definitely.
Could you give me a real-world example of when you'd pick like a specialized instance type
Sure.
over a general purpose one?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's say you're running a machine learning model
Okay.
and it's crunching massive amounts of data.
Okay, yeah.
A general purpose instance might struggle with that, right?
Yeah.
But a compute optimized instance with powerful GPUs, that'd be perfect for the job.
Oh, so that's where you need that extra horsepower.
Right, exactly.
Gotcha. So it's like matching the
Yeah.
horsepower to the task.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And then you have accelerated computing instances. Those are specifically designed for like graphics-intensive applications
Okay.
or like machine learning algorithms.
Makes sense.
They pack specialized hardware like GPUs or FPGAs
Gotcha.
that make complex computations much faster.
Okay, so you've got your instance set up,
Yeah.
configured, ready to go.
Right.
But what happens when you can't connect?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Like you hit a snag, right?
Mm-hmm.
The article mentions checking the firewall first.
Oh, yeah.
Seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But what kinds of firewall issues trip people up?
Well, sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Firewalls can block connections unintentionally,
Oh.
just due to misconfiguration.
Yeah,
right?
it makes sense.
So it's crucial to verify their settings.
Okay.
And it's also easy to overlook security groups,
Okay.
which act like virtual firewalls
Okay.
at the instance level.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Right, those security groups can really throw a wrench in the works
they can, yeah.
if they're not set up properly.
Yeah.
It's like having multiple checkpoints guarding your instance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay.
And speaking of checkpoints,
Yeah.
one of the coolest features of AWS
Mm-hmm.
is going to be auto-scaling.
Right.
It's like having a magic wand, you know?
Yeah.
That adjusts your resources on the fly.
I love that analogy. It makes it sound effortless.
It's pretty close, yeah.
So walk me through a scenario where auto-scaling would be a lifesaver.
Sure, so imagine a retail website
Okay.
during a flash sale
Okay. Yeah.
without auto-scaling.
Yeah.
That sudden surge in traffic.
Yeah, all those shoppers.
Right. It could overwhelm those servers.
Yeah.
Leading to a poor user experience.
Right.
And lost sales.
Ouch, that's a nightmare.
It is. It is.
So how does auto-scaling prevent that meltdown?
Well, auto-scaling,
Yeah.
it can automatically spin up additional servers.
Okay.
Right. To handle that increased traffic,
Okay.
ensuring a smooth experience for those shoppers.
Makes sense.
And then, as traffic subsides,
It scales back down
okay.
to save resources and money.
Oh, that's brilliant.
It is. It is.
It's like having an on-demand workforce for your cloud infrastructure.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, now let's talk about optimizing performance
All right.
for Elastic Block Store.
Yep.
Which is essentially like your application's hard drive in the cloud, right?
It is, yeah.
So optimizing EBS performance.
Yeah.
It's like fine-tuning a high-performance engine.
It really is.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't just want to crank everything to the max.
Right.
It's about finding the right balance
Right.
between performance and cost.
Exactly.
So where do you even begin with EBS optimization?
It seems complicated.
There's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
Well, the article outlines a smart approach, right?
Okay.
First,
Yeah.
you establish a performance baseline
Okay.
based on your application's needs,
Makes sense.
right? Then you make incremental improvements,
Okay.
whether it's provisioning IOPS
Mhm.
or using different volume types,
Right.
implementing storage optimization software,
Okay.
or even performing data striping across multiple volumes.
So it's not a one-time fix. It's an ongoing process
It is, yeah,
of monitoring and tweaking.
exactly.
Okay, so you got to keep a close eye on your EBS performance
Definitely.
to identify any bottlenecks
Yeah.
and make adjustments as needed.
Mm-hmm.
And don't forget,
Yeah.
optimizing for cost is just as important as optimizing for performance.
Absolutely.
Right? It's about finding that sweet spot between performance and budget.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, I know you can't play favorites,
Uh-oh.
but when it comes to AWS versus OpenStack,
Cool.
what are the key differences that stand out to you?
Well, they both offer cloud computing power,
Yeah.
but they appeal to like different needs, right?
Right.
So AWS is known for its like vast ecosystem,
Mhm.
ease of use,
Yeah.
and global reach.
Okay.
And OpenStack, on the other hand,
Yeah.
it's open source,
Right.
which means more flexibility and customization,
Okay.
but it can also mean more complexity.
Oh, right. So there's trade-offs?
Yeah, there are definitely trade-offs.
Okay, so AWS is kind of like the all-inclusive resort,
Yeah, like that.
and OpenStack is more like building your own adventure.
That's a great way to put it.
Right. So
Yeah.
ultimately,
Right.
the best platform depends on what you're trying to achieve
Right.
and your technical comfort level.
Exactly.
There's no one-size-fits-all answer.
Well, not at all.
It's about weighing the pros and cons,
Mm-hmm.
choosing the platform that aligns best with your goals.
Exactly.
All right, before we wrap up part one,
Okay.
let's touch on some of those additional interview tips.
All right.
The article highlights,
Yep.
they recommend reviewing your AWS experience,
Right.
taking an AWS course,
Mm-hmm.
and understanding the process of deploying to AWS.
Yeah.
Seems like solid advice to me.
It is. It is.
Yeah, absolutely. But beyond the technical know-how,
Yep.
what really shines through in an interview
Oh,
is
yeah.
your ability to solve problems
Yeah, for sure.
Interviewers want to see that you can think critically
Mm-hmm.
and apply your knowledge to real-world scenarios.
Definitely, yeah.
So it's not just about reciting facts.
No.
It's about demonstrating how you'd tackle a challenge
Right.
using AWS.
Exactly.
I like that.
Yeah.
Be you ready to talk about specific projects you've worked on,
Mm-hmm.
challenges you faced,
Yeah.
the solutions you implemented, and
Yeah.
the results you achieved?
Absolutely.
Tell your AWS story
I love that.
in a way that showcases your problem-solving skills.
That's great advice.
Yeah, it's about painting a picture of your experience,
Yeah,
showing how you can leverage AWS to solve those real-world problems.
definitely.
I think we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive.
We have.
We've explored security, performance optimization,
Yeah.
instance types,
Right.
and even touched on platform comparisons.
Absolutely.
It's clear that AWS Solutions Architect interviews can be pretty intense.
Oh, yeah. They're designed to be thorough.
Right.
But don't be intimidated
Oh.
with the right preparation.
Yeah.
And a focus on showcasing your problem-solving abilities.
Mhm.
You can ace those interviews and land your dream job
Okay.
in the exciting world of AWS.
Great point. It's about confidence and preparation.
Exactly.
All right, let's take a quick break. And in part 2,
Yeah.
we'll dive into some more specific interview questions and strategies for answering them effectively. I will. All right, let's keep this momentum going.
Yeah.
So in the last part, we covered a lot of foundational AWS concepts.
Right.
Now let's get even more tactical
Okay.
and delve into some specific interview questions
Okay, I'm ready.
you might encounter.
Give me the inside scoop.
All right, so the Indeed article mentions a few common ones, like what were some of the AWS projects you completed in your past roles?
Right.
Or what certifications do you hold in solutions architecture?
These are designed to assess your hands-on experience and depth of knowledge.
So it's a chance to show off your real-world AWS chops, right?
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
just theoretical knowledge.
Yeah.
What's the best way to tackle these types of questions?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Like, should I just list out every project I've ever touched?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
It's about quality, not quantity.
Okay.
Choose a few projects that highlight your AWS skills, right?
Okay.
And your problem-solving abilities.
Right.
Explain the challenges you faced, the solutions you implemented,
Hmm.
and the outcomes you achieved.
So it's like storytelling,
It is.
but with an AWS twist.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so it's about painting a vivid picture
Yeah.
of my AWS journey and how I've used it to solve real-world problems.
Yeah, yeah.
And don't forget to sprinkle in those soft skills,
Oh, it did.
like collaboration, communication, problem solving.
Those are super important.
Those are highly valued
Yeah.
in any technical role, right? Because even the most brilliant cloud architect
Yeah,
needs to be able to work effectively with a team.
absolutely. You got to be a team player.
Exactly. Now, let's say the interviewer throws a curveball
Oh.
and asks something really technical.
Okay.
Like, how do you approach making AWS recommendations to clients?
Oh, yeah.
Or what is your process for applying AWS architecture solutions during periods of transition within an organization?
That's a good one.
They'll sound pretty intense.
They are. They are.
Yeah.
They're designed to assess your ability
Okay.
to think strategically and apply your knowledge to complex scenarios.
Right, because a solutions architect isn't just about building things.
It's not, no.
It's about advising clients
Yeah.
and guiding them through transitions.
Exactly. It's a bigger picture kind of role.
Okay, so how can I prepare for these kinds of high-level questions?
Well, it's all about understanding the bigger picture, right?
Okay.
Think about the different stakeholders involved in an AWS project. The business folks, the developers, the security team.
Mm-hmm.
Try to see things from their perspective
Okay.
and consider how your recommendations might impact them.
Interesting. So it's about understanding the business context,
Yeah.
the technical requirements,
Mm-hmm.
and the human element.
The human element. Yeah, that's important.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to draw from your past experiences.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like if you've worked on projects involving migration, modernization,
Yeah.
or digital transformation, share those stories.
Hear those stories.
Highlight the lessons you learned.
Definitely.
It's like connecting the dots
It is.
between the technical world of AWS
Yeah,
and the real-world challenges that businesses face.
absolutely.
Now, let's shift gears a bit
Okay.
and talk about some of the more fundamental AWS concepts
All right.
that might pop up in an interview.
Yeah.
One that stood out to me in the article was the question about AMIs,
Oh, AMI?
Those Amazon machine images?
Yeah, yeah.
They sound pretty basic.
They-
But I bet there's more to them than meets the eye.
Oh, there definitely is.
Okay, so let's break it down.
Okay.
When I launch an instance,
Yeah.
I'm essentially choosing an AMI that has the operating system and software I need
Yeah.
already
Pre-configured, exactly.
So AMIs provide a standardized and repeatable way to deploy instances,
They do.
making it much easier to manage and scale your cloud infrastructure.
It's all about efficiency.
So it's like having a pre-built virtual machine
It is.
ready to go,
Ready to go.
instead of having to configure everything from scratch.
Exactly.
What are the different types of AMIs?
All right, so you have public AMIs
Okay.
provided by AWS and the community,
Mm-hmm.
and you can also create your own custom AMIs.
Oh, okay. So there's like a DIY option.
There is, yeah.
How do I choose the right one?
Well, when choosing an AMI,
Yeah.
you need to consider factors like the operating system,
Okay.
software versions,
Uh-huh.
and any specific configurations you need for your application.
So it's about finding the AMI that best fits your application's requirements.
Exactly, yeah.
Can you give me an example of when you might need to create a custom AMI?
Sure, so let's say you have a specific security hardening process
Okay.
or a set of software dependencies that are unique to your organization.
Right.
In that case,
Yeah.
you'd want to create a custom AMI
Okay.
that encapsulates all those configurations.
So it's like building your own specialized virtual machine image?
It is, yeah.
Okay, now let's talk about another fundamental concept.
Okay.
IAM,
I am, yeah.
identity and access management.
Very important.
That seems like a pretty big deal when it comes to AWS security.
It is. It's absolutely crucial.
Right.
IAM is all about controlling who has access to what
Okay.
in your AWS environment.
Right.
It allows you to create and manage users, groups, and roles, and define their permissions to access various services and resources.
So it's like having a bouncer at the door
It is.
of your AWS account.
Exactly.
Making sure only authorized users get in.
Yeah, keeping things secure.
What are some of the best practices for implementing IAM?
Well, the principle of least privilege is key.
Okay.
Grant users only the permissions they absolutely need
Right.
to do their jobs.
Makes sense.
It's also important to use multi-factor authentication.
Oh, yeah. That's always a good idea.
Definitely.
To add an extra layer of security.
Absolutely.
So it's about striking the right balance between security and usability.
It is, yeah.
You want to make sure things are locked down tight,
Yeah.
but you don't want to create unnecessary hurdles
Right.
for your users.
Exactly. You got to find that balance.
Exactly. And remember, IAM is not a one-time setup.
It's not, no.
It requires ongoing monitoring and management
Definitely.
to ensure that your access policies remain effective.
That's an ongoing process.
Okay, now let's switch gears again
Okay.
and talk about scaling.
By scaling.
The article mentions a question
Yeah.
about vertical scaling in Amazon instances. Could you refresh my memory on what vertical scaling means?
Yeah, so vertical scaling is all about increasing the resources
Okay,
of an existing instance.
right.
It's like upgrading from a compact car to a full-size SUV.
Okay, yeah.
You're getting more horsepower, more storage space,
I like that analogy.
and more overall capacity.
So vertical scaling can be a quick and easy way
Okay.
to handle increased workload
Mm-hmm.
on a single instance.
Yeah.
But there are limitations, right?
There are, yeah.
You can only scale up so far
Right.
before hitting the limits
Exactly.
of the available instance types.
Yeah, you can't just keep adding more horsepower to the same engine forever.
Right. At some point, you need to consider a different approach.
Exactly, and that's where horizontal scaling comes in.
Okay.
Instead of beefing up a single instance,
Yeah.
you add more instances
Right.
to distribute the workload.
Oh,
It's like
it-
adding more cars to your fleet
Makes sense.
to handle more passengers.
And that's where auto-scaling really shines, right?
Yeah.
It can automatically adjust the number of instances
You can.
based on demand,
Mm-hmm.
ensuring that your application can handle those traffic spikes
Right.
and maintain performance.
Exactly.
Auto-scaling is a powerful tool
It is.
for achieving scalability and high availability.
Definitely.
But designing and implementing effective auto-scaling policies
Yeah.
can be challenging, right?
It can be.
It requires a good understanding of your application's traffic patterns,
Yeah.
performance requirements, and resource utilization.
You got to know your application inside and out.
So it's not just about flipping a switch.
No.
It's about carefully planning and configuring your auto-scaling groups
Definitely.
to ensure they behave as expected.
Exactly.
Okay, now let's talk about subnets,
All right. Subnets.
which are a way to segment your virtual private cloud, your VPC,
right.
into smaller isolated networks.
Yeah.
The article mentioned the question about choosing subnets for launching databases.
Well, why is that such an important consideration?
Well, subnets.
Yeah.
They allow you to control traffic flow,
Right.
isolate critical resources,
Mm-hmm.
and enhance security by grouping instances with similar requirements
Makes sense.
or security levels.
Okay.
And when it comes to databases,
Yeah.
you need to think carefully about which subnet to use
Okay.
based on the database's accessibility requirements.
So it's like dividing your cloud network into different neighborhoods.
Yeah, I like that analogy.
Right. Each with its own set of rules and access controls.
Exactly.
How do I choose the right subnet for a database?
Well, if you have a database that needs to be publicly accessible,
Okay.
you'd choose a public subnet,
Okay.
which has a route to the internet gateway.
Right.
But for a database that's only accessed internally
Yeah.
by other applications within your VPC,
Mm-hmm.
you'd want to choose a private subnet,
Okay.
which is isolated from the internet.
So public subnets for external access.
Yeah,
Private subnets for internal access.
exactly.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Can you give me a real-world example of
Frank.
why you'd want to isolate a database in a private subnet?
Absolutely. So let's say you have a database
Okay.
that contains sensitive customer data.
Right. That's got to be protected.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
By placing it in a private subnet,
Mm-hmm.
you're creating an extra layer of security,
Makes sense.
making it much harder for unauthorized users to access that data.
So it's like putting your most valuable assets in a vault.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now let's dive into some of the more challenging questions
Oh, yeah.
that really test your AWS expertise.
All right, I'm ready.
One that caught my eye in the article was, how would you integrate a hybrid cloud for storing and retrieving data?
That's a good one.
This seems like a pretty complex scenario.
It can be, yeah.
Yeah.
Hybrid cloud architectures are becoming increasingly popular
Okay.
as organizations look to leverage the benefits of both private and public clouds.
Okay, so a hybrid cloud is basically a combination
It is.
of a private cloud. Yeah.
Which is your own on-premises infrastructure
Right.
and a public cloud like AWS.
Exactly, yeah.
What are some of the key challenges in integrating these two worlds for data storage?
Well, you need to think about data security,
Okay.
data consistency,
Mm.
and data movement between your private and public cloud environments.
Right. So it's not just about connecting the pipes.
It's not, no.
It's about ensuring that data flows securely,
Securely, yeah.
reliably,
Mm.
and efficiently
Efficiently, for sure.
between your private and public cloud environments.
Definitely.
What are some of the AWS services that
Yeah.
can help with this integration?
Well, AWS Direct Connect.
Okay.
That can establish a dedicated low-latency connection
Okay.
between your on-premises data center
Mm-hmm.
and your AWS VPC.
All right.
VPNs can also be used to create secure connections
Okay.
over the internet.
Makes sense.
And for seamless integration with on-premises storage,
Yeah.
you can leverage services like AWS Storage Gateway.
So there's a whole toolkit of services available
There is, yeah.
to bridge the gap
To bridge the gap, exactly.
between your private and public clouds.
Yeah,
It's about choosing the right tools for the job
it is. Yeah,
based on your specific requirements.
for sure.
Now let's talk about a question that really highlights the importance of having a broad perspective
Okay.
beyond just AWS expertise.
Yeah.
The article mentions, do you have experience working with enterprise architectures
Oh, yeah.
and management frameworks in addition to AWS?
That's a good question.
Why is that relevant for an AWS Solutions Architect role?
Well, organizations are increasingly looking for cloud professionals
Mm-hmm.
who have a holistic understanding of IT.
Okay.
They want someone who can see how AWS fits into the overall IT landscape.
So it's about understanding the big picture,
Yeah.
the enterprise architecture,
The enterprise architecture.
the IT governance frameworks,
Yeah. Yeah.
and how AWS plays a role in all of that.
Exactly. It's all connected.
Frameworks like ADL or COBIT
Oh, yeah.
provide a structured approach
They do.
to managing IT services
Yeah.
and aligning them with business goals.
Absolutely.
Having experience with these frameworks demonstrates that you can think strategically
Mm.
and connect the dots between cloud technology, business processes, and IT governance.
You got to speak the language.
It's like being able to speak the language
should
of
be.
both the cloud world and the business world.
You got it.
That's a valuable skill set.
It is, for sure.
Now let's go back to the consulting side of things.
Okay.
The article asks, how do you approach making AWS recommendations to clients?
Yeah.
This seems like a crucial aspect
It is.
of the solutions architect role.
Definitely.
What are your thoughts?
Well, when making recommendations,
Yeah.
you can't just throw AWS solutions at every problem.
Right. You got to be more thoughtful than that.
You got to be thoughtful, yeah.
Yeah.
It's about understanding the client's business needs,
Okay.
their technical requirements, their budget constraints.
Right. All the constraints.
Yeah, all the constraints.
Yeah.
It's about listening, asking questions,
Right.
and tailoring your recommendations to their specific situation.
So it's about being a trusted advisor. You're not just a salesperson for AWS.
Exactly.
How do you build that trust and credibility with clients?
Well, it's about being transparent and honest.
Okay.
Explain the pros and cons of different approaches.
Right.
Don't overpromise or sugarcoat things.
Right. Be realistic.
Be realistic, yeah.
Yeah.
And be prepared to back up your recommendations
Okay.
with data and evidence.
So it's about building a relationship
That is.
based on mutual respect and understanding.
It is, yeah.
Now let's tackle one final question
Okay.
that really highlights the dynamic nature of
Okay.
the solutions architect role.
Yeah.
The article asks, what is your process for applying AWS architecture solutions during periods of transition within an organization?
Oh, that's a good one.
Transitions can be messy and disruptive. So having a structured approach is key, right?
Absolutely.
Whether it's a cloud migration, a merger,
Yeah.
or a digital transformation initiative. Transitions require careful planning
Careful planning.
and execution.
For sure.
You need to understand the current state, the desired future state,
Right.
and the steps involved in getting there.
It's a journey.
So it's like creating a roadmap
It is, yeah.
for the transition,
Yeah.
guiding the organization through each step of the process.
Exactly.
What are some of the key considerations when applying AWS architecture solutions during these transitions?
Well, communication is paramount.
All right, communication is key.
Yeah.
Always. Yeah.
Keep stakeholders informed throughout the process.
Right.
Manage expectations.
Okay.
And address any concerns that arise.
Makes sense.
And be prepared to adapt and adjust your plans as needed.
So be flexible,
Yeah.
adaptable, and responsive to change.
Absolutely.
It's about being a problem solver. Yeah. And a leader guiding the organization
Guiding the organization, for sure.
through the complexities of the transition.
It's a leadership role.
I think we've covered a ton of ground
Yeah.
in these first two parts of our deep dive.
A lot of ground.
We've explored security, performance, scaling, architectural principles, and even touched on the consulting and transition management aspects of the solutions architect role.
It's a big role.
It's clear that this role requires a diverse skill set
Oh, yeah.
and a deep understanding of AWS.
For sure.
Okay, we're back
Back for more.
for the final stretch of our AWS Solutions Architect interview prep deep dive.
Let's do it.
We've covered a lot of ground, from technical deep dives to strategic thinking.
A lot of ground.
But what about those last few minutes of an interview?
Oh, yeah.
Any tips for leaving a lasting impression?
Well, those final moments are crucial, right?
Yeah.
It's your chance to, solidify the interviewer's confidence in you. One of the best things you can do is ask thoughtful questions.
You mean turn the tables and interview them a little bit?
A little bit, yeah, why not?
Okay, what kind of questions should I even ask at that point?
Well, think about what you genuinely want to know, right?
Okay.
About the role, the team,
Okay.
or the company's cloud strategy.
Okay.
Maybe ask about their biggest cloud challenges
Okay.
or how they foster professional development.
So it's about showing that I'm not just looking for any job.
Right.
I'm specifically interested in their company
Yeah.
and this particular role.
It shows initiative.
Okay.
Asking insightful questions
Yeah.
demonstrates curiosity, initiative, which are valuable traits in any candidate.
And it gives me a chance to assess whether this is the right environment for me, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's a two-way street.
Absolutely. You're interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Indeed article also emphasizes the importance of continuous learning.
Oh, definitely.
In the AWS world, it feels like there's always a new service
Always.
or feature being released.
Every week.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up.
It is, yeah. But that's what makes it exciting.
True.
It also means you have to stay on top of your game, though.
Okay.
Make continuous learning part of your routine, okay?
Right.
Explore AWS blogs, white papers, training resources, attend webinars and conferences.
It's almost like having a second job,
It can feel like it, yeah.
keeping up with all of the changes.
It does.
But I guess that's the price you pay for working in such a dynamic field.
It is, but think of it as an investment in your future, right?
Right.
The more you learn,
Yeah.
the more valuable you become.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Any other parting words of wisdom
Mm-hmm.
for our listener as they gear up for these AWS interviews?
Remember, confidence is key.
Okay.
Believe in your skills and experience.
Right.
Showcase your passion for cloud technology.
Mhm.
And most importantly,
Yeah.
be yourself.
Be yourself. That's great advice.
Authenticity always shines through.
I think we've given our listener a solid toolkit
We have.
for tackling those AWS Solutions Architect interviews.
We covered it all.
We've explored security best practices,
Yeah?
delved into performance optimization,
Mm-hmm.
dissected instance types,
Right.
discussed hybrid cloud architectures,
For sure.
and even touched on the softer skills of consulting and communication.
Very important.
It's been an incredible journey
It has.
through the world of AWS.
The world of AWS, yeah.
And remember, this is just the beginning.
It is.
The cloud computing field is constantly evolving,
It is.
offering endless opportunities for learning, growth, and innovation.
So many opportunities.
So go out there, ace those interviews,
Got
and build amazing things in the cloud.
build amazing things.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It was fun.
We'll catch you next time
See you.
for another insightful exploration of the tech world.